how to blow a pipeline.
Blow up a pipeline.
I like saying blow. Blow a pipeline.
I've blown a few pipelines in my life, though. Sitting in that toilet, boy. Kaboom!
Might be headed to Texas for the winter. What's in Texas? This project.
Wait! Before we get started on this film that's in theaters right now, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button right at the bottom.
How to Blow Up a Pipeline. It's based on a novel, a surprisingly non-fiction novel. I haven't read it, but from what I understand, the novel's very different from the movie. I think the novel is about how the writer's views towards climate change have become more and more extreme, and how he thinks maybe we should move away from peaceful protesting to maybe doing something a little more violent, you know? So I think that's what the novel's about. But the movie is not like that. In this movie, we've got a group of essentially strangers who from all different types of backgrounds, all different types of political stripes, but they all agree on one thing. This pipeline has to go. And what's interesting is this movie, compared to the book, from what I understand, the book is much more political. It's much more left-leaning, where the movie really has no real political standing. And it really isn't really interested in the political stuff. No. We've got a conservative guy who doesn't want this pipeline being built on his land, right?
Messing up his crops.
Exactly. He don't want that kind of stuff. He doesn't want his child growing up next to a pipeline. You know, and this is kind of a far right argument. And then we've got the far left argument where these two other people grew up in Long Beach, California, where there's lots of factories and lots of acid rain. And she and one of the characters have gotten leukemia because of the climate disaster. That's why she wants to blow it up. There's another indigenous guy. He doesn't like, you know, white people effing up his land, so that's why he wants to blow it up. Everybody has different reasons. No one really cares about the other guy's reasons. They just agree. This pipeline has to go. So I think that's really interesting and really fascinating.
They were all sitting there and they were talking about what they're going to be compared to, what they're going to be called, terrorists, and they were talking about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I was like, all right, y'all throwing in some stuff right here.
Our channel clearly has a theme, and that theme is Revolutionaries. And that's what this movie is kind of about. Or is it? And this is really the only real debate. The movie kind of sidesteps the political debate and more talks about what is the difference between a terrorist and a revolutionary. Now, for the previous films we saw that were talking about revolutionaries, like RRR or Bahubali or Sardar Udham, you know, these movies, it's easy to call them revolutionaries now because we're looking at them, you know, from the future, you know. But when you're in it in the moment, the revolutionaries often look like terrorists, right?
Yes.
And the film talks about that a lot. They're like, oh, we're like Martin Luther King, and they're like, no, Martin was nice, and another guy's like, no, he was not. Martin was ruthless. You only think he's nice now because we're looking at him from the past, but in the moment, he was literally the most hated man in America.
He's on the FBI watch list.
Exactly. So I liked how this film conversed with what is a revolutionary and what is a terrorist. Sardar Udham did that a bit in the very beginning, where they kind of framed his actions as terrorism until they rewound. You know, I liked how this movie conversed with those themes. I really enjoyed that.
American empire calls us terrorists, and we're doing something right.
One of the girls, her mother passed away because of this pipeline. And
a heat wave. It wasn't necessarily this pipeline. It was just climate change in general.
Climate change, yeah. Marcus Scribner from Blackish, he just agrees with her. He's like, you know what? I'm seeing all this bad stuff, these forest fires and everything that's on Twitter, and I want to make an active change. And then they run to another group of people where they're like hippies.
They're recruiting all these different types of people, and they don't necessarily all agree on their politics. They just agree that this pipeline has to go for different reasons. And so what's interesting is the format of the film. So the film starts with like today. And today they've already got everything together, and they're all meeting together in the desert in Texas. They've spotted out the location. They know how to blow it up. The film kind of feels like it's got like a ticking time bomb thing going on, right? But with that, the film also has these flashbacks, and it flashes back to each character and to how they got there.
Done. We talked about The Strays, where a flashback happened in that film and it didn't have any context for what's happening in the scene that you just saw before.
Right.
But it did, when the flashback happens to each person, something in the previous scene that you saw before something happens to that person. And then within those flashbacks, it gives you the reasoning of why this person is doing it. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. Like, one of my favorite characters was this Native American character. Michael, he's the bomb maker.
Michael, yeah.
And at first you're like, does he know what he's doing? His hands are kind of shaky and he's like setting up all this stuff. And it flashes back and you realize how his rage, his anger. This guy is almost like a metaphorical pipe bomb himself, right? He's full of rage and anger. He really just has been going out straight up fighting white people on his land, which I think is really funny. Until he finds his calling. And I think it's interesting, he found it on TikTok.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Boom Talk. Today, teaching myself to make a homemade blasting cap.
This is how he learned how to make a humongous pipe bomb, you know? And so what was interesting is his little laundry list of how to make the pipe bomb. It's written on like notebook paper and like number 2 pencil. And you're just like, this guy does not know what he's doing. He's gonna fucking kill himself, kill everybody. And that really helps bring a lot of tension because he's a very combative person just in general. And then his hands are shaking while he's trying to put together this bomb. You're like, he's about to kill everybody.
The way he speaks is hilarious.
Stuff.
The way he speaks is hilarious. He's like, don't come in here unless I tell you to, or you see fire.
Don't come in unless I tell you to, unless you see fire. Don't come in. Got it.
He's like, got it.
Got it.
And then he was trying to connect the wires, and the wires are short. He was like, great job on the wires. That's really funny.
Michael, what do you think the odds are we blow ourselves up?
I don't really care.
Yeah, because he's got this like restrained rage, you know. For me, I really like that actor. He looks and sounds, his name certainly sounds like he might be an actual Native American person. So I'm looking forward to see what he does, because I thought he was hilarious and funny. And again, his unreliableness, the fact that not only could he explode at any point, but so could his homemade bomb explode at any point, really added a lot of tension to every scene. I love that.
Theo was a character that had the leukemia and the cancer from the rain that came, and she's been living in this area.
Long Beach. She's from Long Beach, California.
She is in a relationship with this girl named Alicia. She's like, you don't know what it's like going outside, getting in the rain, and then you having red warts on your skin. Now she has a irreversible disease now, and she's like, I gotta get back. I gotta get my back to this, because I'm gonna die anyway. Yeah,
she was a fascinating character because, again, like before we see her flashback, we just see her like
drinking
hard, and like she seemed to be popping some pills, and you're like, what in the heck? This girl, like, she's a liability. She can't be doing this. But then you're like, oh, she's gonna die. Like, so she's pretty much just living it up. You know what I'm saying? She's like, and not only is she living it up, but she's trying to numb the pain that her body's going through because she's literally dying. So I really like that. Not only does it explain why she's here, but it gives you a very sympathetic reason of why she would want to blow up this pipeline.
Exactly. Logan and Rowan, those are the hippies. Rowan was taking pictures of all the activity that was going on down there.
And she was texting it to like the FBI or something.
Yeah,
and you're like,
what the hell?
You're like, they got a snitch. You know? and they saved their flashback for last, which I think was perfect timing. I love that.
Perfect timing. The FBI was like, yo, you could work with us in catching people like this, or you can spend 15 years in prison.
I thought that was a big surprise, because when you learned that she was working with the FBI, suddenly you're like, oh, now every conversation around her feels dangerous. You know what I mean? Because you know she's telling everybody everything. The kind of far right guy, he doesn't particularly care about the environment or climate change, not really. He just cares about his family. He doesn't want this pipeline on his land being built next to his child. So I thought all that was cool. And so like as the movie was going on, I thought the movie was going to end as soon as they built the pipeline. I was like, okay, they're gonna build the pipeline, it's gonna end. Boom. But no, like you said, there's another twist dealing with the FBI. We see how they all have alibis, how they all tried to get away with it. And I thought it was a very, very clever film. One of the things I really liked about the film was the tension. Like, you can really feel this like heart-stopping tension. I'm stressed. You know what I'm saying? Stressed.
It's just a negative thing about this, because when I was looking up the tickets to buy this, it's only playing in 2 places. This doesn't even have any promotion for it. And I kind of think I know why. But
Why is that?
It's going against the status quo.
Oh, I don't know. See, that's kind of my thing with the film. Where the book is very political, the movie, like I said, is not. So is it going against the status quo?
But could, if this film got a lot more popularity, could it lead people to reading the book more?
It might lead to reading the book more, maybe. But most people don't read the book; they just watch the movie, and the movie is kind of apolitical. So I don't know. I don't think this is a particularly political film. But this movie, while I think it's very, very good and very, very well crafted, it's not Mario. You know what I mean? It's not. It just doesn't reach like a mass audience like that. And it never will. And for me, like I said, that is okay. That does not, in my opinion, put any value on the film, positive or negative. Like I think it was a very clever film. I think it was an interesting film. And the more that I learned about the book, I think I can see how much they changed, how much they kind of morphed the ideas, the general ideas of the book to create this film. Maybe if I were to knock it, like I said, maybe they could have gone one way or the other, either to the left or to the right, to be more political. But I think they're trying to appease as many people as possible by not putting a stake in the ground on the film's politics.
I'm very impressed with this film. I have to give this film
An A
minus.
yeah.
A minus. A minus.
Okay, fair enough. I'm giving this one an A minus as well. I really, really enjoyed this film. I've talked about this before on this channel. This film is my favorite format for a film, and that is the heist format, where we have all these different people.
It's a heist. Yeah, it's a heist.
Yeah, it's a heist film. We have all these different people who have all these different roles, and from the beginning, it will not go right. But how is it going to F up? Who's going to drop the ball? Is it going to be the bomb maker? Is he going to blow everybody up? Is it going to be this random girl who just came there to support her dying girlfriend? Is she going to mess things up? Is it the guy who got everybody together? Like he kind of formed the group, but he doesn't actually have any skill himself. Is it going to be the guy with a gun, the far right guy? Who's going to F it up? And
Is it going to be the FBI girl? The girl.
Yeah, is the FBI going to come in and bust them? And the whole film, you just kind of on pins and needles, and you're like, I know this isn't going to go right, and I want to know how. And then when things start to dissolve, when their plans start to go sideways, your heart's beating at the edge of your seat. Fun. It's a good time at the theater. The only knock, like you said, it is a small movie, and this movie does mostly take place like in the desert because this isn't the biggest type of film. But this film, while it is small in scope, it's big with ideas. I think, and I think it was.
That's the best kind of freaking movie.
I agree. And so these kind of things, you get your brain working while you're watching them. When I walked into the film, the concept of it blowing up a pipeline seemed so extreme, so crazy. But the movie's arguments, and it makes like 5 or 6 different arguments as to why this pipeline should go, they're compelling. And it doesn't particularly matter where you land on the political spectrum. You will find a compelling argument for why you should blow up this pipeline.
Do you recommend this film for people to see?
I do recommend this film. I think if you're the type of person who like went out to watch Mario, whatever, you probably think this isn't for you. But you know what? I bet it is. I bet this movie speaks to you in particular, whatever your political stripe is. So I do recommend this film for pretty much anybody.
I recommend this film for how this film was made, how they played with time, how they showed the time that affected the previous scene. Love it. Instant payoff with each one of those. The acting was great, the environment was great, and the subject matter was great. So I recommend it. But more importantly, do you recommend this film? Have you seen How to Blow Up a Pipeline? Please get in the comments and let us know.
This was an act of self-defense.
Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Our subscriber count has been going up, and it's because of awesome people like you, and we really do appreciate you. Thank you. You're great. Now, if you haven't seen us, and it's the first time you're coming here, please hit that subscribe button right down at the bottom, all right? Join the family. Now, and if you did like this rating and review, please hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it's mostly wrong. See you in another video. Peace. Peace.